Hello everyone and welcome to our fourth installment of our Bengal interview series. This week we sit down with Cassie St. Phil, 2017 graduate with an individualized studies major. Hi Cassie, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
A lot of people might be unsure about what an individualized studies major is. Can you kind of talk a little bit about what that meant for you, how you customized it and things like that?
So pretty much having like an individualized studies major is like you can build your major based on what you are interested in instead of like just choosing one major.
Yeah, and so a lot of colleges don't offer that, so it's really cool to have the ability to customize. What are some of the elements that you brought into your major?
I did a lot of like health and wellness stuff, and I kind of dabbed around in criminal justice a little bit and sign language. I took a few classes in sign language and stuff like that. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to kind of fluctuate, but mostly I was there for like health and like wellness kind of like situation and coaching.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that you took the sign language too. Well, that's cool. Can you sign anything now, or do you remember anything?
Do you want me to say my name?
Yeah. Oh, that was like so fast. So you customized your degree. Did you have to work with an advisor to do that? How did you go about doing that?
So I did have to go through an advisor. She kind of like guided me through the process and kind of helped me choose the right classes that I needed to, one, graduate on time, and two, so that I felt comfortable in the classes that I was taking.
Like the one thing I would be concerned about would be like making sure you graduate on time. So do you meet with her like once a year?
I would meet with her maybe once or twice, since like my major was like kind of like dabbling in a lot of things. So I wanted to make sure she knew like what I was like kind of into and what I wasn't into.
Okay.
So that she can kind of recommend other classes to me that I felt like suited me.
Do you feel like you got a good comprehensive base? Because I know now you're studying to be a paralegal.
Yeah, because a lot of jobs nowadays, they're based on like teamwork. So like for me, like kind of doing like a bunch of different things and like working in it, like, you know, doing like health and wellness stuff, and like that means you're working with a lot of people all the time. So you kind of have to be a people person. So she kind of helped me out with that.
So like, you know, we talked a little bit about how having to deal with a lot of different kinds of people is helpful in your career. Can you talk about that, like actually day to day, what happens in your career and how you use that?
Right now I'm working as a legal assistant, and pretty much like you're dealing with like 5 different attorneys in a day. You're scheduling their court appearances, like you're doing pretty much like a lot of their work, like their paperwork and stuff like that. So like you kind of have to learn how to deal with different personalities and different people and kind of make everything work as like one unit. So that's why it ties in so great with like lacrosse, because like everyone has their own personality, everyone has their own style of playing, and you gotta kind of figure out like how it all will work out. So like for me, the toughest part was kind of trying to figure out how like everyone's moods were, and like when was the best time to go see this person, and like when does this person like want their court scheduled for, like are they a morning person? Probably not. So like you're scheduling it in the afternoon. Like
really managing a team in a way. You got a lot of transferable skills. So if we're kind of like switching gears a little bit, a lot of the things that we talk about in your interview is like you being very much of an individual and like having a lot of, you know, individual principles and things like that, and kind of just like being okay with doing that on your own. A lot of the girls tend to live with lacrosse players. On campus, off campus, that's just something we normally do. In fact, freshmen have a student athlete dorm, so you can room with the student athletes, and that kind of just helps, you know, they understand your schedule. Yeah. That helps us a lot, like freshman year. You didn't live with them all 4 years. Can you talk about that experience?
So freshman year coming in, I was paired with someone that was really understanding of what I was doing, which I was fortunate with, and she understood that I had practices early. My sophomore year, I lived in a suite and they all did not play lacrosse again. And it's honestly really nice to not play with people on the lacrosse team sometimes, because it kind of gives you like, you know, the leeway of like, I'm gonna hang out with people who are just typical college students, or hang out with people that I know are understanding exactly what I'm going through. Overall, I enjoyed living without people on my team, because you need a little you time.
Yeah, and it seems like, you know, you made a lot of strategic decisions within your major, you know, moving from your high school to a different experience in college, and your living situation seems like you're always kind of like pushing yourself, which is really cool. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to move forward from your experience playing lacrosse and in high school and moving to Buffalo State and playing and all that kind of stuff?
So for me, when I got recruited to play, like my high school team was majority minorities. So coming to the teams, the majority are white people. It's sometimes like, you know, I felt a little intimidated in a sense, because like when you come from a school where half the people, you know, they don't get to play like organized sports all the time.
Right.
So like when I transferred to Buff State, I'm like, okay, these people probably been playing lacrosse for like their whole lives. So I kind of felt like I had to like prove myself in a sense. But I was fortunate that like everyone on the team was so like open and like happy to have me there, and they were all just so nice and friendly, and like they made the transition from going from one of one pretty much to being one of 50. And like especially like playing in the SUNYACs, like my first 2 years I was probably the only Black person in our whole conference. Obviously like people go there and they see you, and you go there and they see me, you know?
How did that make you feel in terms of like, did that make you feel like special, or did it make you feel like distant? And did you find that helped you, like did it change throughout the 4 years for you?
Because of the team, I felt like, you know, they had open arms and everything, so I felt comfortable with them. They all like, you know, everyone was so different in their own sense that like, I didn't feel that different anymore. So that was like nice and comforting. My first 2 years, I probably was one of the few Black people that played in the SUNYAC. My like following 2 years, I could just see how much the diversity of the sport has changed.
Yeah, the sport has definitely changed, but that, you know, that has to be like a little bit, I wouldn't say nerve-wracking, but you definitely have to operate with a different sense of self. So, you know, going through and seeing that it kind of like changed throughout your 4 years, did you feel like you had to like access any character elements of your own to kind of just like push through that scary part?
Oh yeah, so like for me it was like I had like such a hard exterior that I was like,
I remember that.
Nobody is breaking these walls. Like until I feel like super comfortable with you, I was blocked off. And then I just felt like I was kind of in my own zone, and like was like, okay, well I'm gonna do this because I feel like it's gonna benefit me, and I kind of was like a little selfish in the sense, kind of a little bit with that.
Like protecting yourself?
Protecting myself, yeah.
During that time too, like you're also like racking up records, like that single-mindedness helped protect you, but also you lead right now in the Buffalo State record book. She has, let me just check this because you have a lot.
You're number 1 in career ground balls, number 1 in career cost turnovers, number 2 in career draw controls, number 5 in single season draw controls, number 2 in single season ground balls, a 3-time first team all SUNYAC, and an IWLCA all Empire region.
Which are huge. You had so many records, and that's awesome, but like, was it the Nerds Rope?
It was the Nerds Rope. Every time I did great in a game, I would get like a box of Nerds Rope if I did really good.
Yeah, I was like, what is your favorite candy? And she said Nerds Rope.
It had to be the blue. Anything that's blue tasted the best. Like,
yeah, I had to order them on Amazon. I had to order separate boxes, and then she'd get one per like ground ball. So like, there's one game that had like 9 ground balls. So I'm like, pull out 9 Nerds Ropes out of the thing. so I feel like those records maybe could have come from the Nerds Rope. A little small.
You can't find the mixed berry ones anywhere. So like, if you
very
can get
motivating. Like that single-mindedness, like, you know, you kind of made it work. Did you feel like those walls came down like toward the end, or did you feel like you had to preserve that throughout?
So honestly, like I was mostly guarded for like the first week, and everyone's like, hey, come hang out, hey, come do this. So like, it kind of broke down pretty fast. Everyone was super cool on the team. Like, I literally was lucky enough for like my 4 years, everyone was just like super chill people. Like, you can't complain. Like, I had such a great experience, and like a lot of the people from the team are still one of my best friends. So it's like everyone, like, we hang out all the time, so it's nice.
Right. Yeah, they're still like your people.
Yeah, they're still my people.
That's one of those things that is like a cultural element of a team. Like, you have to implement that kind of culture to make sure that it's inclusive. And I feel like I talk about it all the time, but since I took over here as head coach, one of the main principles I've worked on is everybody has something to contribute. Because of that, the girls are really good about including people, because they're like, okay, she's gonna bring something to the table. You know, the coach has brought her to the table because she's got something for us. You know, coupled with the fact that Buffalo State is already kind of like a diverse global culture, it's been really awesome as a coaching staff to bring in a lot of different perspectives. I'm glad you had a good experience, and I'm happy that we can kind of continue to build on that. You kind of like leading the way.
I was fortunate that, you know, like we did have other minorities on the team and all that stuff. So it was like, you know, like they like, especially like freshmen and stuff, they'd come and be like, hey, like, what's this? Like, how do I deal with this? Like, how'd you feel about this? Like, I'm feeling a little weird. Like, should I be feeling weird? Yeah, it's okay. It's like you're supposed to be weird. It's supposed to feel different to you. Anything that's out of the ordinary is different.
How far from home were you?
So like when I was like at school, I was like 5.5 hours from home. So like my parents couldn't like always come out to like every game. And so like a lot of the teammates, like their parents kind of became my parents in a sense. It made me feel good. Yeah.
So like, you know, tailgates and stuff, we still do that all the time. Would you like end up sitting with like certain parents that kind of like brought you in with their kids?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I noticed like a lot of our girls do that with girls that are from far. Luckily we have a new press box that has live streaming for all the games now. In HD if you want to pay $5. But
sign up. Andrea's mom was like, she was like my mom. Elise, you too, your mom held it down.
Oh my god, Elise's mom is awesome.
It's like, you know, like freshmen, like when you come in, you're like kind of terrified of like the seniors. Like no matter what century we're in, like you're terrified of the seniors when you're coming as a freshman. So you don't want to like kind of approach them and like you don't really want like know like, oh, are they like too cool for me? Like can I hang out with them?
But it's true. Like as a freshman, it's hard to get over that bump and be kind of like, how am I going to identify with all these people? You know, I'm different in so many senses, but also like they're just new and they already know everything. And what if I mess up and all this kind of stuff? So it's nice to have those leaders that are kind of willing to put their little arm around you. And
yeah.
You know, freshmen particularly, don't worry, our seniors are super great about that. Our juniors are, our sophomores are. It's important to us and it's a condition that we make sure everybody respects.
They all start in the same position that you're in.
That's so true.
You forget that. You're like, they were freshmen at one point. Like they understand to like ask questions, like it's okay. Like,
yeah.
They want you to feel included.
If you had to give advice to incoming freshmen or someone looking for an individualized studies major or anything moving forward, do you have any advice for anyone coming in?
My advice is honestly, like if it comes to your classes, ask your upperclassmen because at this point they know like how to help you out and everything. So just feel open. Like I say, like just feel open to ask questions, and you're not gonna get anywhere without asking questions.
Yeah.
Am I the first person with a studio audience?
You are.
I feel like I'm like at a actual studio, and I brought like, you know, the girls.
You'll have
the
to
AC
say
in the
that.
back, I'm
Be
dead.
Alright, here we go. Work.
You guys look beautiful. You guys
Am I boiling right now?
No, you look great.
There is like something.
I will be so.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. You would have letting me in.
Just like
Oh. You can hang out. Lots of animals here. Hey, Brad, from Buffalo State. Cassie, welcome.
Okay.
Can we start over? Hotel rooms. It's just a simple example. Making sure the